So I literally just got off the phone with a for sale by owner who has their property listed on Zillow only, um, which Zillow gets a lot of views. That's great. Um, but the things I learned from that phone call, they are not willing to work with an agent. They don't want me involved at all. They are not reducing their price. They have no reason. They're not forced to move. I mean, the this whole mentality of I am where I am, like it, take it or leave it. Um, if they really want to move, they're going about it all wrong. They're only looking to work with somebody who's representing themselves. The whole mentality is saving money, saving commissions, and I fully understand that. The more you keep, the better off the situation. However, just as I would say to a buyer going into a negotiation unrepresented, you are outmanned, you are outgunned, you don't know what you don't know. When you put two people together who do not do transactions on a regular basis, there are steps that are going to be skipped. Not to say we can't fumble through this and get to the closing table, or maybe everyone's just in 100% agreement. The concern I have is, what about when something goes sideways? Who's there to help pick up the pieces? How do we negotiate through this? And where's the person that foresees the issues that'll go sideways and help navigate those to begin with? Anytime we represent a buyer or a seller, our goal is making sure our contract is negotiated in a way that gets us, either as a buyer, protects us really, really well, and gives us ultimate ability to to do a full due diligence, understand what we're getting into, protect ourselves throughout the process, and ultimately lead to a smooth closing if it needs to go that way. As a seller, it's ultimately the goal of negotiating a contract that's going to lead us to a smooth closing. But smooth closings don't just happen. And oftentimes, if you've ever worked with me and you've sold your house, once we go under contract, the first thing I say is, now it's time to get to work, because that's where the work begins. We've negotiated a good contract at this point. That's great. But now we've got to get through the contingencies. We've got to get through the inspection period. We've got to negotiate that appropriately. If we've done our contract right, it makes that process easier, right? But if you've not done these things, you don't even know what to be looking for because of what the future pitfalls could be. Two, we've got to get through the appraisal process. We've got to make sure that we're not just letting an appraiser show up and throw our deal sideways, that we're standing there, we're defending our price with justification in a way that an appraiser can understand it and hear it. Three, working through the financing contingency, making sure the lender's doing their job, checking in regularly for those updates, making sure we're hitting all of our benchmarks, to know that if something's going to take a sideways turn, I want to know it before it happens. I want to be prepared. I want my seller to be prepared. There's very few things that surprise us. Every once in a while, we still get a surprise that, and usually it's just a buyer or seller who, changes their mind, for lack of a better term. But that rarely happens when we're doing all of the other small steps right. So I just want you to know, if you're considering doing it for sale by owner, you have every right to do that. The way an agent perceives that is, it's going to be a harder transaction. So if there's something else, if it's your house or another one beside it that's got a real estate expert involved in it, we're probably going to go that direction every day of the week, because we know that we can work with that person towards an end goal. We don't know what we're getting into when we work with a for sale by owner. And generally speaking, I will see for sale by owners are overpriced. And those steps are not really well defined in what the plan is to get to closing. So we know there's more work to be done there if we go that direction. All that to say, if you've got a great house, sometimes you get it out there and you can get a buyer for it. So I don't hold that against anybody. Everybody has the right to do that. But what you want to avoid is the pitfalls. Avoid pitfalls at all costs. You do that best by hiring somebody to represent you in the process. So let me know if I can help in any way. And this is the advice I would give my family, my brother, family up in Alabama, even if we weren't involved in the transaction whatsoever. So get representation and really know what you're going into. Be armed appropriately for those negotiations and the overall process. Thank you guys for listening. If I can help in any way, give me a call.